Alrighty, folks, it is time for round 2 of Grand Prix Neo Stehlia, and we're going to be real fast on the deck tech again because you would not believe it. There are 3 people in the entirety of the GP playing Jeskai Dragon Control, and we have, in the first 2 rounds, paired up into both of the other players on Jeskai Dragon Control. I'll be honest, I went into this GP with the mindset if you can't beat 'em, join 'em, but I guess I still have to try and beat 'em too. So, last round we ran into an identical mirror, courtesy of Epid, on the exact 75 taken from Caillou's 5-0 league run with Jeskai Dragon Control. Well, this round we're up against Caillou on Jeskai Dragon Control, though there is a slight difference between the main deck and sideboard. It is the same 75, it is the same strategy overall. There is a singular change to talk about in the main deck, and it is 3 cards from the main of the list in League Chat that have been bumped over to the sideboard, and I actually have the rationale on hand. So, it is down 3 copies of Terminal Impact in the main, so you can see that these are in the sideboard here, to go up 3 copies of Thistral Charm. The reason for moving it back to the main was to have more game against enchantment-based mid-range, more counter magic for Gaigeka and battles that the deck can't answer when resolved, and because it's a better removal spell than Terminal Impact against a lot of things from haste threats to Exorcist of Errors. So it was really aimed at matchups beyond this one. And I think that's very reasonable. You know, counter enchantments, counter battles, counter artifacts, counter planeswalkers, and then you can deal 3 to all sorts of different mid-range threats based on what folks are trying to make happen in the field. Which actually gives us a tiny edge in this matchup because the opponent has a card that is aimed at strategies other than ours in the main. We have none of those in the main. Those are in our sideboard. We're on the 3 Terminal Impacts still. Rather, we're on the full playset of Terminal Impacts in the main. So I do think we get the slight edge in Game 1 with that in mind. I would not be surprised if our sideboarding kind of coalesces towards the exact same main deck after Game 1, but we do have that very minuscule edge. I don't think it's going to matter too much, and the biggest worry that I have is Caillou kind of has some experience with this deck. I don't know. He might have won the last GP with Jeskai Dragon Control. So while we do have a tiny edge based on the main deck, the opponent's gotten more experience with this deck. The one thing giving us a little bit of saving grace is that I do not know how much experience Caillou has in the mirror. And certainly, I have had to get some experience in the mirror, so that gives me a little bit of informational advantage. But if Caillou has experienced this mirror matchup in League, then obviously Caillou has also played this out before. And even just beyond that, Caillou's a pretty damn good player. Caillou is a former Revolution World Champion, Revolution World Champ for 2024, the 2023 to 2024 season. And certainly also former curator that just hopped back into the format and absolutely went on a tear last month. Has been on a continuing tear this month in League play, has gotten 3 5-0 runs as of our match. So yeah, Caillou is a fearsome opponent to be up against, and certainly this is going to be a very tough match. So before we dive into Game 1, as always, if you want to check out the format for yourself, links in the description below to all of your key resources, most importantly, the Custom Magic Discord server where you can check out the Revolution channels and play the format for yourself, as well as see what other things people in the community are cooking. So, yeah, this is going to be a tough one. Let's hop into Game 1. Alrighty, we're in on Game 1, and I have rolled a 3 on the die, so not a great start. We'll see how the opponent rolls, but yup, that sounds about right. Oh boy. So we're going to be on the draw for Game 1 here. That is a 1-lander with double Stargazing, 3 become 1 Seafloor Treasures, Overrule Will, and Offset Daemon. So the things that this actually gets away with, opponent is going to mulligan. Things that this gets away with, I can just fire off the first Stargazing without needing to discard something to pick it back up. I could, if I wanted to, discard something to this just for the sake of trying to bait my opponent into burning a counterspell on this later on. Because I've got the two of them. However, I've got 24 lands. 24 lands out of 53. Odds are favorable that I'll see a couple, especially since I have 2 natural draws before I need to make my second land drop, and I'll actually get to dig up to 4 cards deep thanks to Stargazing, provided I shock it in on turn 1, which I think I'm always doing. The big concerns are really just, if I don't hit land drops, I am screwed. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, if I don't hit land drops, I'm screwed. So it's a really risky gamble to take here. It is a profoundly risky gamble. I think I'm gonna say, I genuinely got ready to fire off the keep 7. I'm gonna do it. Sometimes we take these gambles. This is going to be a long matchup, and maybe having the extra card in hand early on is going to be a difference maker here. Opponent fires off a Silent Lakefront to get a basic land here. I assume basic island in the blind. It is, in fact, an island. All right, land on 1. That is an island of our own. Doesn't even come in tap, so I am going to fire this off instead now. Let's Stargazing. Top card is a Plains. I would like to draw that, but I am missing a red source right now, which is awkward for Offset Daemon in particular. Other thing to think about is if I want to try and bait Counterspell for Stargazing, what do I discard with the Plains on top? Probably Seafloor Treasures or Offset Daemon? Let's take Plains, pitch, Offset Daemon, I think. And we'll pass. So this lets us find our second Offset Daemon and fire off first Daemon Overflow on A. So that way we can guarantee get a second Offset Daemon into play. This does mean that's 1 fewer Overflow token we will be generating. They lead on Rousing Path on 2 here. It looks like Seafloor Treasures. Yeah, Seafloor Treasures here. All right. Makes sense that they want to kind of just play things safe with treasures, not risk us having counter magic here. So they have found a red source. They bin 3, become 1. Let's pop out graveyards here. We find Misty Peak. That might be worth playing as our second land here. Let's pop out our graveyard. Let's lead on Stargazing. This card's pretty nuts. Top card. I will take a Draconis Magistus for sure. And now I think I'm okay pitching either Lucent Basin or Plains here. I could just bin the Stargazing here. I actually do like my hand enough. I'm just going to bin the Stargazing. We got 2 uses out of it. That's all we really needed. This might signal to the opponent that we have the second Stargazing. If they come to that conclusion, they are fine to do so. But certainly, I am inclined to want to go towards trying to have my own hand in mind with all of this. So they spend their turn developing plains and passing, we are going to join them in having a mirrored mana base, basic island, blue-red land, and basic plains. We untap, we draw, we find our second 3 become 1. All right, so as we're closing in on 5 lands here, that is going to be pretty nice. I think what I would like to do here, I could hold up Draconis Magistus for if they try and go for something on my end step. Or I could go for Stargazing here and either pay the 2 for Overrule Will or just hold up Overrule Will or Seafloor Treasures of my own. If they go for Draconis Magistus, if they are using this window to try and float their own Magistus, what do I care? What do I do? What do I think there? We are kind of in a game of chicken. I have 2 more cards in hand than them. I could just kind of hang out here. I might just hang out here. Yeah, we have another land drop. We're not in urgent need of digging deeper. Let's make them take the initiative. They're going to pay 2. They're going to play a second Seafloor Treasures. I'm going to say K on that. I think I am fine letting them Seafloor Treasures here. I do not want to burn a counterspell on that. They move 1 to top and bin a mountain. Sorry, move 1 from hand, from top to hand, and then put mountain into graveyard. So tells me they're probably good on lands, or they were looking at 2 lands. They have a Primal Fisher here, tapped. Let's have that same conversation. Treasures of my own. Do you counter this? They're thinking. Oh, they said yep. Sorry, I hadn't scrolled down. Alrighty. You top 2. Windbeaten Stones, Misty Peak. Think we're taking the Misty Peak here. Bin a Windbeaten Stones, pick up the Misty Peak, treasures in graveyard. We untap. We draw Mountain. So that is 6 lands available to us now. We could fire off a Stargazing, start sculpting our hand again. That might bait out a Draconis Magistus. If it baits out a Draconis Magistus, maybe I shock in Lucent Basin, just to represent our own Draconis Magistus. Or if they do not, maybe we just... Maybe we shock in Draconis Magistus, Lucent Basin for Draconis anyways. I think while we don't have triple blue up, I'd like to hold on to Magistus being available. So we're just going to run out a Lucent Basin tapped and pass. Do they have the 3rd Seafloor Treasures? No. One nice thing about our current position, we have 3 become 1s alongside things that are good to free cast off of them. There aren't going to be many things we're actually free casting off of these in this matchup. They are kind of just 5-mana draw 3s. But they do allow us to kind of weave in Draconis Magistus' Path of Prudence alongside the draw power. They go get an island off of their Primal Fisher on upkeep. Let's see what you got. This could be them teeing up land drop Iviana. They shock in Misty Peak. Interesting. Shock in Misty Peak. What is that representing? Is that representing 3 become 1? Because if so, I'm going to play this basic mountain and then get to fire off my own 3 become 1 in response to theirs, plus Draconis Magistus. I feel like if they wanted to do so before I made my 5th land drop, they would indicate as much on my upkeep, or indicate an upkeep stop. So we draw Fateful Ascent. Let's go ahead and play Mountain. Let's just pass. Do you have 3 become 1? If they do, they did not fire it off. I'm going to rearrange my lands a little bit. Just get the perfect gradient. And now we can fire off a 3 become 1 on their end step. If they counter it, we've got the second one. They have Lucent Basin tapped. This could be us playing chicken with 3 become 1. They're 1 card in graveyard away from Seafloor Treasures. So that's fine for now. I think there's enough counter magic in this matchup that I'm not going to take too much of a gamble here on them having something for my 3 become 1. We're just going to continue to play chicken. I'll draw second Draconis Magistus is very good here. So what I could do here, I could Stargazing. If they have 3 become 1, I overrule Will It, and then I shock in Misty Peak. What do I do here? Yeah, I liked Stargazing first. It not shocking in Misty Peak denies me the chance to 3 become 1 in response to them doing something like a 3 become 1 here, but I think I want to let this guide me here. So let's see if there is a fight over Stargazing. I do think this is a situation where I could see them trying to fire off a Draconis Magistus, but they do say that is okay for them. So we're going to get to Stargazing. That is a Lucent Basin on the top. Let's go ahead and move that to the bottom. We draw a Fateful Ascent. I think with a second Fateful Ascent, I'm cool to bin 1 and pick this back up. I will join them at 18. And now I'm the one who shocked in a 5th untapped land. This is control, folks. The control mirrors are very gripping. We are staring at each other with grips full of cards, waiting for something to fight over. I am slightly regretting bottoming that Lucent Basin, if only because now I am going to potentially miss my 7th land drop. And land drops are very important in this matchup, and they do hit their 7th with Windbeaten Stones, and they are passing with Windbeaten Stones also untapped. Very interesting. We will draw Iviana Dragon Tamer. I do think this Stargazing is going to pitch. We will see what the Stargazing pitches. If it pitches anything. This might cause them to pull the trigger. They're still not pulling the trigger. All right, we will look at the top card. Offset Daemon. Ooh, that is interesting, but we miss our land drop if that is the thing we keep on top. I think we do want to go send that to the bottom because we want to keep hitting land drops. So we will ship to bottom. I'm regretting bottoming that land. We get paid off. There is a Windbeaten Stones of our own. So now we can develop Windbeaten Stones. I did just put Stargazing in the bin. That's fine. I'm paying attention. I actually do like everything in my hand, so I'm fine with having binned the Stargazing here. Let's go ahead and play the Windbeaten Stones. Will we have a fight? What will we be fighting over when we do fight? Is this the 3 become 1? That is the 3 become 1. Let us say no to that, please and thank you. So Magistus on an adventure. That does get them to their 7th card in graveyard for Seafloor Treasures, but this was going to get them to Seafloor Treasures being active anyways. I do it that way because I see that they have 2 mana up. I'd like to not play into Overrule Will here. I would love to 3 become 1 and tee up the draw. They have 5 mana for Iviana. Let's say... So we could Overrule Will this, force them into paying the 2, but they downtick Iviana, still make 2 treasures. I think what we're going to do is we're going to fire off Fateful Ascent on Iviana. So they put 2 counters on Iviana. We're going to attempt to Fateful Ascent Iviana. So this does give them the knowledge of what we are... This does give them knowledge that we're trying to remove Iviana before they choose what they're getting, but this doesn't let them get... Yes. So, yeah, this does give them the information, but this doesn't let them get Isulio to just have a negate off of Iviana for this. They're going to make the chart and lose Iviana here. So they do get the chart token here. They do get to just grab a counterspell creature here. Like, we're not in an amazing position, but we do have a Draconis Magistus we could just slip into play. That is going to be a Sulio to hand. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. Chart gets them their 10th land drop. So they could hard cast a Sulio next turn. But we do have Overrule Will for that. We have Draconis Magistus for that. Either of these can work against that. It's possible they crack the chart now to make their 8th land drop now, because they have this opportunity to do so. Because with Isulio plus 2 treasures, they're not even necessarily dropping interaction. They are going to miss a land drop, though. All right. Interesting. We will untap and draw. We find our 3rd Draconis Magistus, but we do miss on our own land drop. So the option here then becomes, do we want to surface Seafloor Treasures now, dig for land drop? They could counter that. Does it matter that they counter that? They would have to, at least with Isulio, they would have to burn a treasure to do so, which puts them further off of Isulio. I think I'd like to go for Seafloor Treasures here. Let's surface the treasures. They say, okay, we'll look at top 2. Oof, no land drop here. Unfortunate. So we could bin the 3rd Fateful Ascent out of 4, or we could take Terminal Impact. Land drops are very valuable in this matchup, so giving them chart tokens is really risky. However, Terminal Impact is going to really struggle to remove things like Draconis Magistus. The primary reason I want to keep it in these mirrors is just that it is ways to kill them over the top, because they cannot counter Terminal Impact. So if we can start applying pressure with something like a Draconis Magistus, this drastically reduces the amount of pressure we need to apply. But with missing a land drop here, yeah, I do think I would like to take the Fateful Ascent over the Terminal Impact. That kind of stings. We do get to keep 3 become 1, not 3 become 1. We do get to keep Draconis Magistus up. We do get to keep Overrule Will up. We do get to keep Fateful Ascent up. But yeah, not being able to play a creature here, very awkward. Not being able to make a land drop here, very awkward. So we can't respond to Asulio with 3 become 1 Draconis Magistus. We can't Path of Prudence off of a 3 become 1 here, which would be the ideal situation to be in. They're spending a treasure. Oh, they're going to surface seafloor treasures rather than guarantee a land drop off of the chart. Interesting. I am a little tempted to counter this, but that does drop my counter for Asulio. However, they're not going to be able to play Asulio next turn. If I overrule will this, am I okay with whatever my opponent casts just guaranteed hitting the board next turn? If it's a Draconis Magistus, I can't counter it anyways. If it's an Iviana, it's going to really hurt that I give them a second one, but it's not the end of the world. Yeah, this is really interesting. It's one of the only windows where Overrule Will gets to do something meaningful here. The other question is, do I really want to mill myself right now? This is tough. Yeah, we are going to Overrule Will. I am going to mill myself after all. Mill Offset Daemon, Silent Lakefront, Clash at Orith Cross. Kind of unfortunate hits there. Second Offset Daemon means I am that much further away from actually getting to develop an Offset Daemon and start getting the overflow tokens rolling. Silent Lakefront would be another land drop. And Clash at Orith Cross here represents being able to kill something like Asulio. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. They could run out second Iviana here. They'd have 3 mana up in response to Iviana activation. I could Fateful Ascent Iviana. They would have to spend blue on Asulio to protect her, but she would stay at 2, and they would only have 3 treasures. That would give me an opportunity to try to slip Iviana in. If I can hit an 8th land drop, I can do Iviana with Dracono's backup. They are going to shock in another land here, so they shock in Lucent Basin. That is their 8th land drop. What do you have here? One thing I hadn't really talked about. Wow, they're passing. That's big for me. Okay. I feel much better about that counterspell now. We will draw. We find the 8th land. So I can 3 become 1 with Draconis Magistus backup and cast Draconis Magistus' adventure off of 3 become 1. Yeah, I'm going to shock in Misty Peak here. This is tough. We're going to pass, though. We know they have one of their sideboard cards in hand. We know Asulio is around and kicking. They're going to cast their other seafloor treasures here. We are going to say okay to that. Actually, we could rip the 3 become 1 now. If they try to fight over it, we could fight over them trying to stop us from 3 become 1ing. Is that good? So we could do 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have blue, blue. We have triple blue up. We have double red, single white up. If they try to fight over this, they spend 3 mana on Draconis Magistus. They just stop it altogether. Or they can spend blue, blue for Asulio, which gives us a window to Magistus Asulio and get it into the bin before it can get more stuff from the sideboard. I kind of do like that. Is this a fight I want to initiate? I think this is a fight I'd like to initiate. We have to get scrappy here. The other alternative is to fight over this on their upkeep, but that gets them the opportunity to get more value off of Seafloor Treasures here. There is also the possibility, I think if this is specifically Path of Prudence, I will just let it happen. And I will not fight over the Seafloor Treasures from there. If this is Asulio or this is... Well, this is the Silent Lakefront, I also can't fight it. So if this is specifically Asulio here, then I will fight Asulio with Draconis Magistus. Don't love tapping out here, but I do have Iviana and Fateful Ascent, so letting them just get a board state does not mean the worst thing in the world. The big danger is just that they start developing Offset Daemon. That is the biggest risk we are taking, but I feel like we've had a couple opportunities for them to develop Offset Daemon that would have been very bad for us. So the fact that they have not yet makes me think they have not seen any yet. They're thinking. So this would draw us up to 8 and then let us Draconis Magistus here, if they just let it happen. There is also the very real possibility that they plan for us to deck, at which point, you know, we are 7 cards ahead of them. This would put them 2 cards deeper into their deck before their draw step, but we would still be 5 cards ahead of them based on them going first. Or 4 cards ahead by the time they do something. They are tapping 3. That is going to be a Path of Prudence. I will say K to that. Yeah, so the downside to this being specifically Magistus is that maybe I should have fought over 3 become 1 on their upkeep. But with that being on their upkeep, they'd have 5 mana left to spare. Yeah, it might have been better to just fire off on upkeep. I don't love the idea of them getting to select off of Seafloor Treasures here beforehand, but they chose their card. They'll bin a Wind-Beaten Stones. Does make me think that they are sitting on... They're going to crack their chart token here. Yeah, I really should have fired off that 3 become 1 on the upkeep. That might really bite me here. I still have 1 3 become 1 to their... both of theirs being gone. They did pass an Offset Daemon and an Overrule Will to get a tapped Silent Lakefront. They do get a counterspell out of this, but this does not necessarily mean they get a land drop for Asulio. This does mean they can cast a Draconis Magistus, however, because they have the 8 mana needed to cast it. I will absolutely fire off a Fateful Ascent on Draconis Magistus. Do I even fire off a Fateful Ascent on Draconis Magistus? Certainly not at... instant speed on their end step, right? They play Primal Fisher, makes sense. They've got the lakefront in hand. There's no reason to risk it. They just pass. All right. I'm going to close graveyards just because right now there's nothing in either graveyard that is being used. The seafloor treasures are all gone, and we're starting to get pretty wide on mana bases here. I'll untap. I will draw a Terminal Impact. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we could connect with Draconos Magistus... Oh, if we could connect with Draconos Magistus, Terminal Impact right now does kill them. What do they do against us casting Draconos? They probably just Fateful Ascent it. Yeah, that's not a very good question. Yep, we just pass. We've got double Path of Prudence up. There's not much outside of Terminal Impact and Draconos Magistus that is uncounterable in this matchup. Silent Lakefront is the other uncounterable thing in this matchup. All right, they are fetching out another basic. This could be, I imagine, probably Mountain before Plains, or it could just be their third island. It is going to be the third island. Sorry, Mountain's in Graveyard. Can't be the Mountain. So they have a single basic Plains left in their deck. Any Primal Fishers after that are not going to be super useful. They do have the mana. Oh, they need to step away for a moment. I will pause real quick. All right, I'm back. What I was saying before I had to pause, attempting to gather back track of mind, they have 9 lands here untapping, so they do have the mana now to cast Asulio properly. That would give me a window to 3 become 1 and Path of Prudence him, but they would get to wish for 2 cards from their sideboard. They do not deem that being worthwhile enough to go for here, however. So they are going to pass. I am currently not in any interest of pushing things at this end step. We will draw a Primal Fisher of our own. 3 basics in play, none in graveyard. Let's keep making land drops. Yeah, I think one of the things that I found myself thinking about during that little pause there is you can kind of see my like uncertainty in this matchup a little bit start to show, like some cracks starting to show in how I approach this matchup, where my opponent has been very measured, very like showing a ton of restraint, showing a ton of caution, and has been, for the most part, amply rewarded for their caution by not really being pressured by any measure or means from my end. And so as a result, they have gotten to kind of sit back and let us kind of flounder in the wake of things. And right now, there is the tiny reality that if this game goes to us running out of cards in deck, if neither of us take another game action because we're too busy in this game of chicken, right now, I'm losing this game because I will deck before they will. I don't think that is the most pressing situation here, but it is a reality in this current board state. It is something that I found myself during that little pause, specifically thinking maybe I should have milled my opponent with Overrule Will. Now, there does have the risk there that I'm giving them another copy of Seafloor Treasures, or I'm teeing up an offset demon for them to try and fire off. But the reality is, I think I should have milled them. Now, granted, right now I'm trying to find more land drops just to be able to play more stuff in a singular turn. In that regard, I cleared 3 non-land cards. Sorry, no, I cleared 2 non-land cards and Silent Lakefront. So less valuable than I said it was. If I remember correctly, it was Silent Lakefront, Offset Daemon, Clash at Orith Cross. So like those are all things I would have probably been fine with drawing. But I do need to hit land drops, so I don't know if I would have wanted to hold that Silent Lakefront as a counterspell. I've got 2 Draconos Magistuses already anyway, so it is not as though I am in desperate need of uncounterable counter magic. We both have a Magistus on an adventure. They're going to discard Deafening Clarion to hand size. Interesting. I'm not going to crack Primal Fissure on upkeep. We will draw a Wind-Beaten Stones. I'm going to go ahead and play that tapped and pass. We're going to have to chill with this Primal Fissure. I think because I'm interested in trying to draw some more lands, I'm not looking to crack it right now. We are at 10 lands ourselves, so maybe we can look at firing off the Primal Fissure end of turn here. We have 8 mana up, so we do have enough for 3 become 1, representing Draconis Magistus, as well as a second Path of Prudence in our hand naturally. Let's see what they want to do. Are we just draw pass? Is that still where we're at? I have definitely dodged a bullet by way of not drawing any of my own Deafening Clarions here. Certainly, though, this is a matchup where I feel like I wish I was in black to have access to hand attack. Even if that, cuts into the access for things like either Fateful Ascent or access to, Terminal Impact. Probably more Fateful Ascent, because I imagine if you're in black, you probably want to be doing Grixis Iviana, as is being done in this field. We do have a Grixis player, courtesy of Silver Parabellum on Grixis Iviana. So, there could be an argument for trying to play hand attack. They pitch a Terminal Impact to hand size. Interesting. We are going to go ahead and fire off the Primal Fissure. Asking if I'm good to fetch. They say, yep. Let's go ahead and get... We've got 2 red-white, 3 blue-red, a single white-blue. Let's go ahead and get our second basic plains, maybe? No, so many of our things cost blue mana. Let's get a second basic island. So we have 2 more Ivianas to draw, 3 Seafloor Treasures, 3 Overrule Wills, 1 Fateful Ascent. We have drawn every Draconis Magistus. There are only 3 in the... Yeah, only 3 in the mains. We have all 3 Path of Prudences. We shuffle. Offset Daemon. There is a thing to fight over. Unfortunately, it's not an amazing thing to fight over because we know they specifically have Silent Lakefront, so it is not the kind of thing I want to rush to develop. If I had one more land drop, I would look at playing Iviana holding up both Draconis Magistuses. But I think, given the current board state, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, actually a very real possibility. If they let Iviana through, we could start building up to just Terminal Impact X's 14. The only downside there is that Silent Lakefront in hand means we know they have a way to gain life, so I don't think that's actually the correct play, but it's interesting. Let's go ahead and pass here. We do have to be reserved here. Opponent draws. I would rather get into a fight on their turn than my turn right now. I could look at, on their turn, firing off a 3 become 1 to fight over it a little bit. So I 3 become 1 here. They pitch Deafening Clarion to hand size. They found both. They found 2 of the 3 Clarions. Oof. I think I would like to fight over 3 become 1 here. Because fighting over 3 become 1 allows me to still hold up Draconis Magistus. I can Path of Prudence. If they want to keep fighting over it from there, they can also invest Silent Lakefront. I imagine this just gets out a Silent Lakefront or a second Draconis Magistus, but that is still fine, because that gets them one fewer counterspell moving forward. I think it is time to initiate this fight. Second Path of Prudence would be real unfortunate, but would be just a thing that happens and there's nothing we could really do about it. They are humming. They are going to pay 2 mana here. Are they going to fire off Asulio? Because if so, that is going to be Draconis Magistus for sure responding. They are going to attempt to Path of Humility 3 become 1. So I would like to uncounterably counter Asulio, send him to the graveyard, do not put him in exile, which means that that is Asulio gone for good. They're going to pay 5. They are going to Silent Lakefront this. That is spectacular. So 3 become 1 gets countered. They gain 3 life up to 17. We are in the clear to start running out threats here, I think. They could still have blue, and 1 up for their own Path of Prudence here, but I would wonder why they would go for Asulio and not Path of Prudence, given the circumstances. We will untap. We will draw. We find a second Plains. So, second land drop. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana in play. We can go Plains develops us our 11th mana. We play Iviana. If it gets countered, we have 6 mana to play with. That is a little tight for us trying to jam an offset Daemon. But what we could do is if we have 8 mana, we could cast Draconis Magistus holding up Path of Prudence. Start rushing out these 6/8s. I like that. For 5, 6, 7, 8. Cast Draconis Magistus. They say, yup. We pass. They are going to Fateful Ascent it. Oh, are they reconsidering? They are reconsidering. They're changing their mind, so we know they have a Fateful Ascent. Does not surprise me here. They're going to Fateful Ascent on their own turn. Now let's try it. I'm cool with this. I have another one available. This lets me now cast the second one. This lets me go find another land. This is pretty good. Oh, they are going to go for something else. Oh, is this Stargazing finally? They were thinking about it. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with the treasure. Interesting. Where are we at? What we doing? They could cast their own Draconis Magistus. I would let that happen. I would just crack the chart token, go for Draconis Magistus of my own. Actually, if they cast Draconis Magistus here, I will take that opportunity to Fateful Ascent theirs and set up Offset Daemon to start clocking them. And finally, get an Overflow token in play. So yeah, I would love for them to go for Magistus here. They are going to Stargazing, it looks like. So they now have access to Stargazing to start digging through their deck. They have the mana to back it up more comfortably, but we are in a pinch where they have to be very considerate of what resources they still have access to. They do scry to the bottom, and they just bin the Stargazing. So I wonder if this was the second Stargazing drawn here. 2 mana. What you doing? 3/4. Is this Iviana? This is Offset Daemon. I will counter that. No, thank you. So they officially have an Offset Daemon in their graveyard. The engine's online. So if they have the second Draconis Magistus, we will get Iviana countered here, but then if Iviana gets countered, we're clear to start rolling with Offset Daemon. We will untap, we will draw second Iviana, even better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Iviana. That's going to bait out a counterspell. Fistral Charm. Getting some value here in this pre-board game. Yup. Countered. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. Offset Daemon. Iviana ate the removal. Ate the interaction I needed her to. So we get to create token manually. Overflow. We're going to swing 3. There we are. We're attached to this time. We haven't been attached to Offset Daemon as of late, though. They are paying 3 mana here. 4 mana. They do have their own second Offset Daemon. So they swing back to 17. We untap, get a second Offset Daemon, swing, take them to 11. Terminal Impact kills. That's fine. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mana. 11 mana exactly. We can crack chart to get to 12. So the other thing to think about here is countering... not countering. Playing Fateful Ascent here does... It puts shields down, but I don't have counter spells in hand anyways. It means they do not gain the 3 here, so if they have Silent Lakefront, for... Like, if they try to just hold Silent Lakefront here, for, like, any other thing we might have on our next turn, that gives us a window to... puncture through where... Terminal Impact for 11, they would be at 8, so Silent Lakefront would not gain them the life they need. This is a pretty ballsy play, but I am going to Fateful Ascent their Offset Daemon. Overflow token means this is not a permanent solution, but this does not let them gain the life. They're going to make the chart token. They need a removal spell of their own. Oh, they are not letting that happen. They're going to overrule will. They're going to mill themselves. Overrule will, third offset daemon, and a Draconos Magistus. Yeah, so then they will deal 3, gain 3, and this is still the very setup we wanted. They do not have the mana for... Yeah, they don't have mana now for Silent Lakefront. If they let us hit them for 6, we have it. They have to remove one of our offset daemons here, or remove the overflow token. They are tapping 2. That is a Fateful Ascent. Yeah, so they are going to remove the overflow here. Unfortunate. That is their second Fateful Ascent versus our third. So yeah, now the fact that we've both got 3 offset daemons seen 1 unknown location. But they're one card left in hand. So we untap. We draw second Terminal Impact. Okay. New game plan. Swing 3, Terminal Impact them for 11. The only punish for them is them having Terminal Impact here. But good news, they boarded out 3 Terminal Impacts for this matchup, and the 4th is in the graveyard. They do not have a second Terminal Impact in the main, so they could not draw what we just drew. I think that is curtains. We're going to swing for 3. Main 2. Staying single target. Okay. They go to 3. They jump back up to 9. They need to develop something that blocks Offset Daemon, or else the second Terminal Impact just goes the distance. They can take us down to 13 here, but they would not have the mana to Terminal Impact us back. They don't have the impacts in deck to get us back here. Seafloor Treasures from hand. Uh-oh. That gives them chances. I am not kidding when I say untapped land off the top would be a big deal here. Because it would allow us to kill through the 3rd Silent Lakefront. They've been a clash at Orith Cross. They're going to pay 1, 2, 3 second Seafloor Treasures. Trying to find things they can do. If they spend even 1 more mana this turn, we know we're in the clear for Terminal Impact. And if they don't spend time removing Offset Daemon, we know we're in the clear for Terminal Impact. They do need to pick off the Offset Daemon while... No, actually, there's no out for them anymore. Because they go Seafloor Treasures into Surface Seafloor Treasures. They need to have mana up to gain an additional 3 off of Silent Lakefront, failing to counter Terminal Impact. Still gains them the life, even though it doesn't actually successfully counter. They would need to do that as well as clear the Offset Daemon, hitting them for 3. And they can no longer do both. So I do believe we are now up a game. We are just kind of going through the motions now. Main deck, all 4 terminal impacts shining through. They did get to counter Iviana with a Thistral Charm that I wasn't really thinking about, but we did also get to play terminal impact for 11, and we're about to do it again. Whew. Tough matchup for sure. They keep sorting the top cards of their library. They are torn on what to do here. Offset Daemon does third Offset Daemon, or rather their 4th Offset Daemon does not change anything here. They do choose what they're taking here. Bin of Plains doesn't matter. Third Offset Daemon takes them to 12, but then ours hits them back down to 9. And we just need them below 12, or we need another untapped basic. Or untapped land in general. We draw our own Seafloor Treasures. Swing in. Do they have a Thistral Charm? All right. Thistral Charm removing Offset Daemon. Whew. Got there. 40 cards seen from my opponent, 36 out of our own deck. That is a game 1 win for us on the draw. Let's see if we can do it twice. So that is going to be Siscalls in. That is going to be Looming Psyhawks in. Clash at Orith Crosses out once again. Deafening Clarions out once again. I do not like the Thistral Charms in this matchup, even though they are additional checks to Iviana. I do like Overrule Will a little bit more. I do think the early turns have things that really matter. I do like the Mill a lot in this matchup. It is easier on the mana. I could see boarding out the Overrule Wills being reasonable, but I'm going to stick on it for now. We won on a mulligan to 1. Sorry, we mulled on a 1-lander, no mulligan, keep a 7. That is crazy, now that I say that out loud. We took a huge gamble, and an hour later, we are 1-0 against Caillou. This is not the same kind of hand. Despite this being 2-lander, double Draconis Magistus, Seafloor Treasures, Looming Psyhawk, I do not know if I can take the gamble here on this working for us. We could gamble on Primal Fissure, just playing it and letting it sit for a little bit. And then Seafloor Treasures at the end of our opponent's second turn. Sorry, at the end of our opponent's third turn. Granted, if they have a Siscall, we cannot stop them from getting it into play. Though that is true if they try to just curve out Siscall anyways. Opponent is thinking on their hand. I do think I'm going to keep this 7 again. It worked out pretty well for us the first time. We're going to take risks. Iviana double Magistus. This is a pretty good situation to be in. We got Psyhawk to try and squeeze them on their end step. We just need to hit land drops. Man, this is a tense matchup. Feeling very happy about that game 1, though. Opponent is still thinking on their hand. They are going to mulligan. We're going to keep 7 again. I think in a more aggressive matchup, I would be more cautious about this. But when we do not have to worry about too many things happening in the early game, I am good to just kind of rock it. They play a Rousing Path and pass. Once again, no Stargazing from the opponent early on. We find an Overrule Will. Let's go for Primal Fissure and pass. They have Lucent Basin shocked. They're going to pass here. Let's keep the Primal Fissure. We will draw Offset Daemon. Uh-oh. We will play Plains. If they go for Seafloor Treasures, we will just Seafloor Treasures in response rather than Overrule Willing. Depending on what they do here, I will crack Primal Fissure, see if they have a response. Waiting for my opponent to give me the all clear. They are thinking. This does give them a window to try and do something. They are going to flash in a Looming Psyhawk of their own. I see. Now they are good. We will view library, go get that basic island. Seafloor Treasures. View top 2. Whew. Daemon to bin, Daemon to hand. That's not great. We untap, we draw. Uh-oh. That's not good. So this is fine. They just trade life totals with us. They pass. We draw. We do find the third land. So we're not out of it yet. We're just going to let Psyhawk do its thing. We will see if they fight over our Psyhawk here. They say K. We draw Terminal Impact with nothing to do with it. I think I'm fine to just keep swinging with the Psyhawk. If they keep swinging with it as well, we're kind of cool to just keep doing this back and forth. Swing in. That's another land drop missed, but our opponent did also miss a land drop, so same boat. Keep Graveyard popped out, because once we hit our 7th card in Graveyard, we will be able to go for Seafloor Treasures. Interesting thing here is if the opponent might be looking at... If they go for Fateful Ascent, that denies us the chant because of their Looming Psyhawk. I really want to find a red source just so I can like Terminal Impact the Psyhawk and be done with it. They do untap, they draw, they swing in the Psyhawk, we trade life totals again. We're just still at it. Both missing land drops. We untap, we draw another impact. Whoa, this is not good. We can just do this forever. Opponent was going to start their turn, but we do have to discard hand size. Is it Magistus? That feels crazy, right? Is it Iviana? We both have 20 lands. 25 lands is so fucked. I'm even 4 cards deeper than my opponent. Though I technically have one fewer land left in my deck. I think it might just be the second offset Daemon. Yeah, I want to keep the Eviana here. Yep, we do the life total trading. They pitch a Fateful Ascent to hand size. They don't even deem the Cyhawk worth removing here. That is incredible. We find our fourth land, but it is not something that lets us cast Offset Daemon here or Terminal Impact. We are going to make a land drop at least. This is something else, I tell ya. I think if they go for a Seafloor Treasures, I will counter it. Same if they go for like a Stargazing, I will tell them no at this point. We do the life total trade. Oh, are they not doing it anymore? Okay, they are going to do it. Yeah, we are just still at it. They discard a second Fateful Ascent. That is huge. And there's the last offset Daemon. We have all four in hand. Just no red source to get any use out of them. I think that is going to be cause for us to pitch Eviana here. Unless they want to fire off a counterspell here. They do not. Whew. It feels bad to pitch Eviana, but I do not know that we have time for her right now. We will have time for her because this game is going long, but right now, I think it is Eviana to hand size. That feels so bad. At the very least, we are 6 out of 7 cards in graveyard. We are almost at Seafloor Treasure's surface. They have a Shocked-in Wind-Beaten Stones. They're going to hit us for 2, gain 2. So we are now trading both being at 18 rather than me being at 18 and them being at 20, and us bouncing back and forth from that. They do have the Timpact. Yeah, that is going to put a stop to what we were doing. But you did set me to Seafloor Treasures here. Is this good? Does this resolve? They say yep. Top 2. Lakefront Stargazing. You have got to be kidding me. That is crazy. I think it's going to be bin Lakefront, put Stargazing in hand here. This is insane. We will draw... Oh my god! We have found every non-red basic in our deck. Every non-red source in our deck, really. Outside of the, like, white-blue duels. We cannot find a red source for the life of us. Let's lead on Stargazing, see if it resolves. This is going to allow us to start really sculpting, so I would not put it past our opponent to counter this. They do say K. We're going to view top 1. What the hell is happening? Hold on. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13 red sources. 13 red sources, and we cannot find any of them. That is insane that we have to bottom this here. That hurts. Okay, we are golden. I will discard... Pitching Offset Daemon here sounds so weird. I think actually we hit our sixth land drop here. I'm going to let Stargazing fizzle away here. Timpacts for Psyhawks. The really awkward spot that we're in right now is we do not have blue up for Draconis Magistus, but we do have 1 and a blue up for Overrule Will. So it is not the worst case scenario here. I'm going to close our graveyard. We do not have Seafloor Treasures in there anymore. My goodness, though. That was crazy just how deep our first red source was. 22nd card in our library. They pass. Happy to see that. We untap. We draw Misty Peak number 2. About damn time. I think here I can go for Offset Daemon if they have Draconis Magistus. I don't love Offset Daemon here. We're going to play Misty Peak tapped and pass. We are just going to play this supremely cautious. We are not under pressure. We are making more land drops than the opponent, so we can push more mana out of them than they can push out of us. They get a Silent Lakefront here, so they can dig for their 5th land drop. That is basic island tapped. Man, if I had something to do on end step here, I would fire it off for sure. We untap. We draw Overrule Will number 2. So we will play our 3rd island. I think with the Draconis Magistus in hand, I am willing to take the chance on an Offset Daemon. They've got gas in hand. But do they care? This is going to be Path of Prudence. So that is 3rd Offset Daemon down for us. That is really awkward. That is 1 hard counter gone, 2 hard counters gone because they are down the Silent Lakefront. They're going to pay 2 mana here for a Syscall. That is a thing I will happily Path of Prudence. Yeah, I cannot let that stick around right now. That is going to let our opponent tear away here. If they have a second one, that is going to be really good for them. But it would mean that they would be putting themselves out of access to the to a Draconis Magistus here, or to a hard counter in any capacity. We untap, we draw Fateful Ascent. Interesting consideration here is, do we just take the gamble of seeing if they have a second Draconis Magistus? They're only 18 cards deep in their library. We have seen 7 lands out of them. They don't have Silent Lakefront up, so they only have 2 possible copies of Draconis Magistus, 5 cards in hand, 42 in library. I think we go for it, and if this fails, we just know that we are out of access of the Offset Daemon, which could be really rough for us, but that's where we're at. They are going to attempt to counter. They do have the second Draconis Magistus. Unfortunate. Yeah. That is second Offset Daemon countered. Yeah, and so us having to pitch Ivianas and 2 Daemons to hand size there really, really hurts. Having to pitch a Daemon, sorry, 2 Seafloor Treasures and 1 to hand size really hurts. Yeah, the things we had to pitch to hand size a lot more valuable than the things they had to pitch to hand size, being these Fateful Ascents. We are 1 land away from Draconis Magistus, and they are down 2 of their hard removal spells. but we are not finding our 8th land right now. They have 1, 2. What's... Oh, they have an offset demon of their own now. Yeah, I'm going to Draconis Magistus that. So they have hit their 7th land here. We untap, we draw, we find a Syscall. That is going to stick through any interaction they might have. Oh, whoops. I needed to make all tokens. We're going to stick this under Program A. Do they have the 3rd Fateful Ascent? Wow. This is tempting because I would love the extra land drop here, but I think I am going to overrule will that. I'm going to tap like this. Milling you, I think, here. I would like to put 3 of your cards into the graveyard. Yeah. I think with a bunch of my stuff gone, I want to get some more information by seeing what they don't have access to. Second Syscall milled here is big, as is the second Silent Lakefront, and we had an overrule will of theirs. They're also down their 3rd Fateful Ascent, so they have 1 more removal spell for Syscall. Man, this is a weird game we've got here. Also, the gamble really paid off because I didn't hit a Seafloor Treasures for them. And I do think that those are cards that I milled that would be very appealing to them. Maybe less so for Overrule Will, but for Silent Lakefront and Syscall, those are very solid cards in this situation. With us both at 3 cards at hand, Silent Lakefront just getting to hard counter any one of my things besides a Draconis Magistus is significant. Any untapped land, and I might even deny myself the Syscall activation to just fire off a Draconis Magistus. So the upside here is that I have more interaction left for whatever they go for, but I have a dearth of things that actually kill them. All of the Daemons, 2 of the 3 Ivianas, not a spectacular place to be. They are paying 2. They're paying 4. Is this another offset Daemon? Here's what I'm going to do. Target them, make them mill. Paying? Yeah, paying. So they're going to mill Thistral Charm, Wind-Beaten Stones. They kept the Thistral Charm in, and they mill a 3 become 1. So they do get Offset Daemon. They do get the Overflow token. So in this case, I will go ahead and only Syscall, I think, for 1. But I'm going to Terminal Impact the Offset Daemon, blow up their Overflow token. Once again, the gamble paying off. They did not mill a single thing that wants to be in their graveyard. So, yeah, we got very lucky there. We will take 3. They will gain 3. We still have our spectator. We do not have our spectator anymore. Oh, do they have a stargazing? They do have a stargazing. Interesting. So that is going to sculpt their hand a bit. 2 cards in hand here. If they discard for the stargazing, we know 1. But stargazing is pretty good here. They bottom the top card of their library. Do they discard for stargazing? They do not discard for... Oh, they're reconsidering. They are thinking about it. They're going to pitch the second Looming Psyhawk. So that is Psyhawk down entirely. But they do have a Stargazing in hand. So we know Stargazing and 1 unknown card. Okay. Interesting. Let's untap, draw a Seafloor Treasures, go to Program A. They have 5 mana. Could have mana up for the Overrule Will if we draw it. I think I only want to draw 1 off of Syscall. What we're going to do is we're going to pay white and a blue. If we pay 3 into this, so hold on. If we Syscall draw a bunch, we don't need to kill Offset Daemon right away. The only reason to be concerned about it is if they just go land drop, terminal impact, explode us. But they only have 1 unknown card in their hand, so it would kind of need to be top deck untapped land. What do we do here? Certainly if we use the planes, that denies us the opportunity to hold up Silent Lakefront. But I don't think I want a Silent Lakefront this turn anyways. I would rather Fateful Ascent the Overflow token. So I think, with that in mind, I do X is 2. I draw 2 cards. I can Fateful Ascent the Overflow. I can hold up 1 in a blue if I find an Overrule Will, or I can hold up 1 blue if I find the 3rd Magistus and an untapped land. That's a very precise situation for us to find 2 things. Maybe we just do X is 1, and we threaten the existence of Draconis Magistus. Yeah. We draw 1 card. It's another Seafloor Treasures. Yippee! Yep, well, now we're gonna Fateful Ascent this. Yeah. Especially since we have a second Seafloor Treasures now, I think I'm fine not worrying too much about the Syscall. I may even just pull the trigger on Seafloor Treasures now. I think I'm going to. They're tapped out. There's less concern about this. We find Misty Peak, Looming Psyhawk. Psyhawk, very unfortunate to find here after we give them a chart token and after they get an Offset Daemon into play. But yeah. I would have loved to flash out Psyhawk in response to the Offset Daemon and then just say no to them getting a chart here, but I think land drop's more important than Psyhawk here. Do I shock this in? So the punish, if we shock this in, is that they don't need an untapped land to kill us with Terminal Impact. But we've given them the land to kill us with Terminal Impact anyways, so they don't have to kill us this turn with Timpact. They can just go for it next turn. I'm going to be greedy here. Go to 6. Top 2. Primal Fissure versus Fateful Ascent. We will take the Ascent, bin the Fissure. Pass. If you got me, you got me. And then this was a very weird game one way or another. Come on, show me the Terminal Impact. I know you got it. I know you wanna. Do they have it here? Considering we've only seen the one Overrule Will from them, it's possible that they boarded out the Overrule Wills for the Terminal Impacts rather than the Thistral Charms. It's possible they didn't board in the impacts at all. I could be entirely wrong about Thistral Charm being worse in this matchup. I mean, it does kill Psyhawk, it kills Offset Daemon, it counters Iviana, it counters Syscall in the post-board games, so it's not irrelevant. What you got? Where are we at? They've got 3 cards in hand. Sorry that I've been a little quiet here towards the end of this game, too. This has been a slog. It looks like they're leading on Stargazing here, which is fine. If they find the Terminal Impact, they still have enough mana to kill us. It's fine for them to lead on Terminal Impact, rather. Or, sorry, on Stargazing. I don't think they need to worry about going for this point in their turn. They do go to the bottom again. Draw a card, thinking about discard to Stargazing. The fact that they're thinking tells me they didn't find Terminal Impact. They discard Overrule Will, pick up Stargazing. So they did not board out Overrule Wills. That makes me think they didn't board in extra Terminal Impacts. So I was right to take this gamble. It certainly feels that way. They do make a land drop. 5 mana Iviana. Uh-oh. That's bad. That's very bad. That was the worst case scenario outside of Terminal Impact. We are probably going to have to Terminal Impact that now instead of Offset Daemon. Yeah, if they get a Sulio, we are probably just done here. Because we need to remove Iviana so it doesn't have haste. So their things don't have haste. They get a Sulio, yeah. So they have a negate in hand and a Stargazing. They deal 3, go up to 26. We untap, we draw. Wind-Beaten Stones is not going to cut it here. So we Fateful Ascent the Offset Daemon. They Asulio it. If they Asulio the Fateful Ascent, does that matter, actually? Do they care about that? We're on Program B. Yeah, I think we are in just a bad spot here. Really suffering for having to discard the top-end stuff to hand size. Just an unfortunate... Our greed game 1 paid off. Our greed in game 2, not so much. See, we can run out Draconis Magistus here, but then they get to Iviana for Garation. Garation plus Asulio kills the Draconis Magistus. They take us to 3, and then they've just got Garation and Asulio in play, and we can't beat that. So I think it is going to be attempt to Fateful Ascent. Attempt to Fateful Ascent Iviana, because this is the more important thing to remove here. They may decide that they've just gotten the value they need out of Iviana here. If they do, we are in a decent spot because we can just Terminal Impact the Offset Daemon and somewhat stabilize. This is rough to be doing into a face-up Asulio, though. They do decide to Asulio counter it. So, yeah. Asulio counters, sets himself in the sideboard. 1, 2, 3. Sorry, sets himself into an adventure. We're going to Terminal Impact. Sorry, this only for 2. And I am just going to put the Wind-Beaten Stones into play tapped. Yeah, I think we are cooked here. We've got Seafloor Treasures available. Don't know if that can save us. Certainly, at 6 life, I am not optimistic. Did they? Yeah, they just found another Offset Daemon. Game 3! All right, we do get to be on the play for this one. So, looking at sideboarding a little bit deeper, they did decide to stay on the Thistral Charm. It looks like they decided not to go in on Terminal Impacts. So they do decide that that Thistral Charm is just a little more valuable here. Question then becomes, do I concur with that assessment? Because I could also just shave a little around the corners. I could shave like 1 Impact, 1 Overrule Will, 1 Seafloor Treasures. I think I'd rather Fateful Ascent over Terminal Impact because this does remove more of their things. I don't love giving them a chart token, but it could be reasonable. Overrule Will does get kind of clunky after a certain point in time. Seafloor Treasures certainly gets some good value, but it is a little slow. Yeah, I think we're going to go down one of each of those, try the Thistral Charms. Would not have done amazing work for us, but would have been able to kill the Offset Daemon there a little earlier. And this gives us more counterplay to specifically Siscall and Iviana, which is nice. So, let's try it like that. We finally get to be on the play. All right. Have we learned our lesson? Do we keep a 2-lander here? I think we do. I think we do keep Seafloor Treasures 2-lander. We're going to regret it. We have not learned our lesson. Misty Peak, pass. They go for Silent Lakefront here. White Source here makes me feel a lot more comfortable. Oh, they go for an island. Okay. Decided they do not want the plains after all. We untap, we draw. We do find the 3rd land, but we're running into the same problem again. Missing a color. Go ahead and develop the 2nd blue source here, I think. And we're not going to bother with Seafloor Treasures at sorcery speed. I'd rather represent interaction. Especially since we have the 3rd land drop, I'm not as pressed. They're going to shock in Misty Peak. Interesting. I am going to go for Seafloor Treasures here. If they want to do so in response, or if they want to counter Seafloor Treasures, I'm cool with that. They say K. Top 2. Treasures 3 become 1. I think that's going to be Treasures to hand, 3 become 1 to graveyard. This is a good card in the matchup when we have the time for it. We do not have time for it right now. Ooh, whoops. Whoops. You saw nothing. I double-clicked instead of dragging to hand. We find Stargazing. Okay. Okay. I'm in on Stargazing here. We'll make the land drop first so we can protect it. They say K. Top one card. Silent Lakefront. I am cool to draw. That gives us access to our white source. It's going to be a little slow, but that is totally fine. Let's draw it. Let's discard Fateful Ascent to put this back into hand and pass. I'm going to say K. I think I'd rather overrule Will literally anything other than Seafloor Treasures. And I'm also currently of the mind that I think I'd rather mill my opponent than myself. Just for situations where we start to get really grindy. They've been a Rousing Path, so they are not wanting for land drops. So we both have a Seafloor Treasures, both have 2 other cards in graveyard. They got 2 lands, I got 2 spells in graveyard. Makes me think that they might be flooding and we might be digging for land drops. They do crack Primal Fissure here. They get Plains. They pass. We will once again Seafloor Treasures. Do they want to fight this one? They say yep. We look at top 2. Plains Fateful Ascent. Sucks to put a second Fateful Ascent in the bin, but I do value the land drop right now. Yeah, we are going to bin Fateful Ascent, put Plains to hand. We will untap, draw, finding a Terminal Impact. I think I'd like to once again go for Stargazing to start us off here. They say, yep. Top 1 card. Misty Peak, I think I am cool to bottom here. We've got a couple land drops stored up. We find a Rousing Path. Do I pitch Rousing Path here? I think the spells I have I'd rather keep. Yeah, we're going to pitch Rousing Path to put Stargazing back in hand. And I'm going to Silent Lakefront here, go get the second basic Plains. We pass. We are at 7 cards in graveyard for Seafloor Treasures, so we'll get our graveyard properly popped out here. Opponent is thinking at the start of the turn. Land drop choices are interesting here. Second white source is good to start representing Silent Lakefront sooner. It's part of why I wanted to get the second white source here rather than keep one of the blue-red lands. Because I could have pitched the basic Plains or the Silent Lakefront, but the fact that Silent Lakefront costs double white gives me good cause to try and prioritize getting double white sooner. One interesting consideration that I'm finding myself thinking about more is we find situations where, you know, overflow tokens wind up in board, chart tokens end up in play, where Iviana get Eltanon might not be awful, specifically to check the tokens in play. They're going to pass. Fine by me. We will draw an Offset Daemon. Cool. Let's play Plains and Pass. I think we are comfy here. We can kind of just wait. We've got Seafloor Treasures to try and hit a land drop. I think I will hold up blue-red off of Misty Peak Mountain here to do so. It's very interesting that the opponent kind of was just mulling over if they want to make Island as their land drop last turn. They do play Mountain, so they do not have Silent Lakefront up right now. We do. However, we only have a single Overrule Will in the hand. The one counterspell we went down on quantities of in the main. We did hold off on Stargazing here. We probably could have gone for Stargazing. Here's what we're going to do here. If you're going to go for Syscall, I would like to go for Thistral Charm. Would you like to counter? No. That is going to happen. Cool. One Syscall down. End step, I'm going to try for Seafloor Treasures. See if this happens. They say, yep. We're in the clear. Lucent Base and Terminal Impact. I think I'm going to bin Impact, take the base, and just keep hitting land drops. Timpact gone. Base into hand. Treasures away. And we are paid off for not going for the Stargazing there. We untap. We draw Wind-Beaten Stones. I am going to go for the Lucent Base in here because the blue is more relevant to start getting into play. And we'll just keep passing. I'm going to rearrange my lands to the nice gradient again, now that we got it. So we're kind of sat in the opposite position of where the opponent was in game one, where we were I was kind of feeling a bit jittery, a bit jumpy, needing to make attempts to try and get something to start happening. And then the opponent was able to just kind of shut us down and wait us out for a lot of the game one. And then we just managed to hit a point where we could turn the corner. Now we're kind of sitting in this very comfy spot where I'm not feeling super jittery. I can kind of just chill. Now that I'm not holding up Thistral Charm, I'm going to continue representing Thistral Charm, I think. Let's go for Seafloor Treasures. They say, yep. Top two. Island, Silent Lakefront. I think with the Wind-Beaten Stones in hand, we are clear to bin an island, take the lakefront. We now have a counterspell up besides Overrule Will. We untap. We draw Iviana, Dragon Tamer. Wind-Beaten Stones as land for turn. We have 5 mana, which means I think I'm interested in Stargazing here. And I will look at pitching Overrule Will now. Top 1. 3 become 1. I would like to draw 3 become 1, and I would like to discard... I will not discard Fateful Ascent. I will discard Overrule Will. Put this in hand. We will pass. If they give me something to fight over, I will Silent Lakefront it, but they do have reason to assume I have interaction in hand given that I just pitched an Overrule Will. So it's not unreasonable for them to just kind of be cautious here. We're both hitting land drops. Greed was once again paid off. We were able to kind of turn a single copy of Seafloor Treasures into all the mana we could ever ask for. And we were able to get enough cards in our graveyard that we were able to start using our Seafloor Treasures. Our opponent still has 1 stuck in their graveyard. They're going to shock in Misty Peak and pass. Curious. We untap and draw a Lucent Basin. Perfect. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana here. I think I'm good to wait on the Stargazing right now. I could Stargazing and just kind of see where that gets us. With only 3 blue sources up right now, I think I'm going to play it cautious and just keep the blue mana up with Stargazing, rather than going for Stargazing. Opponent does start going for something. Rousing Path cycles. That is fine by me. You are more than welcome to do so. That does get them a little closer to Seafloor Treasures. It's only the one, whereas we had access to 2 copies of Seafloor Treasures. And we do have our 3 become 1. Other one is in the graveyard, but 1 in hand is all we really need. And as we saw in Game 1, we don't even necessarily need it to resolve. If it can initiate a fight, that could be enough. The worst case scenario, though, is that the opponent sees us go for a 3 become 1 and then gets the clearance to do so themselves, and then counter our 3 become 1 with a Path of Prudence off of the 3 become 1. They're valuing Shocking in the Windbeaten Stones. We've gotten a bunch of free damage on them by just kind of waiting things out. Like, to be clear, they are at 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana here. Terminal Impact in hand. We could just get a repeat of what happened in Game 1. We draw Draconis Magistus. I do think that is going to be our cue to fire off this Stargazing and potentially just pitch it rather than pitch something else. They're not going to fight over Stargazing. Top card is a Siscall. Ooh, interesting. That probably initiates a fight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can go for Siscall and not make a land drop this turn, hold up Silent Lakefront, hold up Draconis Magistus. So I can hold up Lakefront or Magistus plus Fateful Ascent. I am in on making them fight over Siscall. We're going to draw and just put Stargazing in the bin. I'm going to use Lucent Basin and a basic Plains. Go for Siscall. Would you like to fight over it? They would. I'm going to let Thistral Charm happen. So Siscalls and Thistral Charms doing their jobs respectively. Siscalls threatening a bunch of value. Thistral Charms stopping Siscalls specifically. They have 5 cards in hand to our 7. I am not keen on initiating a fight yet, but that was just too juicy to pass up. And I think my hand is good enough now that I am not looking to dig too much deeper. They're going to go for Seafloor Treasures here, put a 6th card back in their hand, untap, go to 7. I think I'm fine with that. I think we are past the point of fighting over cantrip effects. Even ones like Seafloor Treasures that just get a lot of value. If it's a Siscall, I'll fight over it. If it's a threat, I'll fight over it. 3 become 1's probably the only draw spell I fight over here. And where I'm at right now is, while I would love to respond to a 3 become 1 from the opponent with a 3 become 1 of my own, I would have to be reasonable, responsible, and go for Silent Lakefront or Draconis Magistus. They're looking at the top 2. I'd love for it to just be an awful proposal here. Like, choose one of your 2 best cards to put in the bin and take the other best card. They're putting one to hand. Silent Lakefront to bin. That makes me think it was potentially 2 counterspells. Very interesting. They pass. I am not interested to get into a counter war here. We will just untap and draw a Fateful Ascent. So we could put shields down, play out Silent Lakefront, shields down, air quotes, play Silent Lakefront to just not miss a land drop, not have to discard to hand size. I don't want to pitch one of our two remaining Fateful Ascents. We have seen all four in the top 30. No islands in... Oh, one island in graveyard. So this gets our last basic, makes our 3 Primal Fishers awful. I think that might be incentive to not go for it. We could initiate a fight over Offset Daemon. I could goad them into fighting over this. They've pitched a Silent Lakefront to Seafloor Treasure, so that's 2 in their bin. But that does deny me the 5th untapped mana for 3 become 1 or Silent Lakefront. So I don't think that's a thing I want to fight over. And I think at this point we're kind of in this position of whoever balks first is going to get steamrolled by Iviana. So I think I'm in on Lakefront as land drop, get the last basic. And then if we draw a Primal Fisher, I will discard it to hand size. I would love to hold on to the uncounterable counterspell here, but I do just need to be hitting land drops, making the game state progress. And they have a Primal Fisher. They've got 2 basics left in their deck. So this is going to be able to find something. I could initiate the fight over 3 become 1 here at the end step. Because now that we're on their end step here, I've got 8 mana up. I can initiate the fight on 3 become 1. If they counter it with something... Draconis Magistus just really can't fight 3 become 1, though. I get to hold up Magistus if they try to respond with their own 3 become 1. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... Yeah, they've also got 8 mana up. I'm going to go for it. 1, 2... 3, 4, 5. 3 become 1. How do you say to that? How do you feel? They're tapping mana. They're thinking about it. I would love for this to let me slip a Syscall into play. That would be the best case scenario, I think. So draw 3, draw a Syscall, cast Syscall. That would start another stack war outside of 3 become 1. For sure. But if they fight over 3 become 1 and fight over Syscall here, that is carte blanche to start going crazy with Iviana. They're tapping 2. They're tapping 3. That looks like a Draconis Magistus to me. Yup, 3 become 1 countered. That is half of their uncounterable counterspells spent. We've only shown 2. Sure thing. I'm gonna untap. Gonna draw. We find an Offset Daemon here. Well, now that we have spent our 5 mana effects, I'm not too worried about holding up 5 mana. Also, we do have the 9th land, so we can just go for Offset Daemon here. I think if they flash out Psyhawk in response, I will Fateful Ascent it before the Offset Daemon ability resolves. But yeah, I would like to go for Fateful Ascent here. Sorry, I would like to go for Offset Daemon here. 1, 2... 3. Let's leave up all our blue sources. That's fine. Daemon. Coming in. I'd love to burn a Terminal Impact on Offset Daemon, but not going to be something I'm super inclined... Sorry, on a Looming Psyhawk. I'd love to burn a Terminal Impact on that, but not something I'm necessarily holding my breath for. And then burning a Draconis Magistus here makes me feel safer to go for this. They're thinking. I'm also going for this specifically because it represents a 2-turn clock with the terminal impact in hand, which would be a reason to not worry about impacting a Psyhawk here. I think I will be putting the Overflow on C if we do get the Daemon in play. Alrighty. They are thinking about this. I love to see this really putting them in the tank. It is possible here that they use their blue mana, stop me from using Offset Daemon, and I just slam Iviana down tick, fire away, get a Sulio in my hand. That's a very real plan here. Not sure I would be crazy about tapping out here, but I'm not opposed to it, especially if they are fighting over Offset Daemon. And I wouldn't be tapping out because I'd have 2 treasures. If they go for specifically... oh, they don't have any in their graveyard. If they go for specifically Overrule Will, I will just pay for the Overrule Will and just be okay with it. And then Iviana not coming down this turn, obviously. But yeah, I want Offset Daemon to start putting them in the position of having to be a little frantic about this. This has been a long match, folks. And we are still going. Thank y'all so much for sticking through all of this. Whew. Hopefully we have some faster rounds after this one. Less control matchups, please. Let's see how we can fare against aggro or mid-range. I want to be tested by things that are not us sitting here for 2 hours. They're going to go for 5 mana. This is going to be a 3-become-1, I think. Oh, no, it's a Silent Lakefront. Okay. They gain 3. Daemon in Graveyard. I now have some things to think about. I can Daemon again. Or I can Iviana hold up a Sulio. I think I want to go for Daemon again. Because that threatens Daemon next turn. So they need to deal with the Daemon in play and the Daemon in Graveyard. Essentially, they need to spend 2 spells. They'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. They could go for Iviana. Iviana down tick, Eltonon, clear the token, Thistral Charm, clear Offset Daemon. Or they can go Fateful Ascent, clear Fateful Ascent into Iviana down tick, get Eltonon. I think I want to get Iviana in play. Make 2 treasures. Finally, I'm the one putting this into play. Asulio, Garation, Draconis Magistus, Eltonon. Here we're going to put Asulio into hand. And we will pass. We've pushed the fight. They're going to crack on upkeep. So they are even with us on lands. Sorry, we're both at 9 lands, but they can make a 10th land drop this turn. They are playing... They were looking at playing Misty Peak. They are deciding to do so. They're going to shock it in. Paying blue, white, red, and 1. That's looking like an offset daemon of their own here. Oh, that's 5. Are they offering up their Iviana? Interesting. So this tells me they have Draconos Magistus available to counter whatever we get, whatever they do on Iviana. They can uptick Iviana, clear mine. But I think if they do that, I'd like to just hold Fateful Ascent and do so at sorcery speed on my turn. Because if they're clearing Iviana with their Iviana uptick, they're not putting something in hand. So I am not too concerned. I'd like to save Draconos Magistus for when they are a little tighter on things going on. Now, if they also downtick Iviana, we can just uptick ours, clear Iviana. That was what we were going to do anyways. I was not going to downtick Iviana again. I'd rather uptick her in this current position. We could also look at, we've got 8 mana up. 9 mana up. We could look at going for Draconos Magistus, hardcast, uptick Iviana, deal 4. But that's not that good. They are thinking on what they want to do with Iviana. They could pull the trigger on Iviana here. They only have Terminal Impact to lean on for burning Iviana. Thistral Charm cannot damage Planeswalkers. That is the one singular weakness that I think really holds this card back from being worth keeping in the main consistently here. They are going to uptick kill our Iviana. That is fine by me. That is exactly what we wanted here. We will untap. We will draw Wind-Beaten Stones. Let's Fateful Ascent Iviana. I could use Terminal Impact here to kill it instead. I'd like to try and force the issue with Fateful Ascent first. Because if they have a counterspell, I want to kind of turn this into counterspell fodder. Either eating a Draconos Magistus, really just eating a Draconos Magistus. That's really the only thing they could use to stop this guaranteed. So Magistus will stop Fateful Ascent. Countered. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Silio is hard castable here, but I don't know if I love doing that in the face of Iviana. So if we do 1, 2, and then 3 on Offset Daemon. Yeah, I'd like to force the issue once more. Last copy of Fateful Ascent. Iviana down. They can get a land off of the chart token here. We're going to play Wind-Beaten Stones untapped. Pay 1, 2, 3, 4. Go for Offset Daemon. They say, okay. Let's go ahead and make an overflow. Yeah, we've got a Daemon in graveyard, so I'm just going to put overflow on A. Go to combat. Swing in for 3. We pass. We got Magistus up for anything they might look to do. We've got Terminal Impact in hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 exactly. Terminal Impact really cutting through the control mirrors. And that is why I wanted to keep as many as I could. And also, one of the things that I should have thought more about with putting some in the sideboard, the way I split my sideboard up, where I was putting one Impact, one Seafloor Treasures, and one copy of Overrule Will in the sideboard, means that getting a Sulio gives me more flexibility with what I get, rather than being locked into only getting like Deafening Clarion or Clash at Orith Cross. Or the Thistral Charms if I don't board them in. I have access to not Thistral Charm, but I do have access to Clash at Orith Cross as just a big sweeper if I feel I need it. And I have access to the flexible suite of Seafloor Treasures, Terminal Impact, and Overrule Will. So I would probably get like Seafloor Treasures, Terminal Impact off of a Sulio right now, which is a very nice thing to be feeling. I think that means I should probably look more often at cutting individual cards from the deck rather than just shaving an entire chunk of things out of my deck when I'm sideboarding. Now, for cases like the sweepers in the main specifically, yeah, we're going to cut the Clash at Orith Crosses, we're going to cut the Deafening Clarions, for sure. But for boarding in something like Thistral Charm, I do think the correct maneuver is what we have done here. Go down to 3 ofs rather than 4 ofs of things, instead of cutting down 3 or 4 copies of a thing to get stuff into the main. And Asulio helps justify that spectacularly. It's a very good feeling. Opponent is sitting here. The important thing to note here, they have 3 white mana up. They also did not crack the chart there. They had 2 untapped lands. They did not use them. That's big. So they would need their... Sorry, no, they don't have a Silent Lakefront up. They have no more instant speed life gain. The only thing they can do to gain life is Offset Daemon. And I'll be real with you. Daemon does not gain you enough life here. The only alternative is maybe... Looming Psyhawk blocking for a turn. But not if this Overflow ticks up and gets our second Offset Daemon out of the graveyard. We might be in here 2-0 against both mirror matches, folks. Some very risky keeps that have mostly panned out in our favor. And the one game where they didn't, our opponent was at least struggling as well. They're paying 2. That is a Seafloor Treasures. I will allow that to happen. If it is something truly worrying, I can look at Draconis Magistus, but right now, I have 12 damage on board. I think the only thing I'm looking to counter might genuinely be either some crazy game-warping play, or looking at countering an Offset Daemon from the opponent. Because Terminal Impact for them does not do it. And with them having expended all 3 Silent Lakefronts, certainly... that's not going to be any good either. They cannot hope to find the 4th, because there is no 4th. Man. Terminal Impact really just defining these mirror matches, I think. Burn damage, very valuable when you can just point an uncounterable fireball at the opponent over the top of these matchups. Really punishing my opponent for all of the untapped shock lands earlier on in the game as well. The opponent just really desperate to make sure they were always presenting untapped mana, giving us the opportunity to just let them slowly whittle themselves down to a point where Terminal Impact is a very clean lethal around anything they could try to do here. They could try and go, Iviana, find Eltanon to clear the Overflow, spend a removal spell on Offset Daemon, and then we just kill him. Uncounterably. Actually, sorry. Iviana getting Eltanon would buy them time. Because they'd be at 12. We only have 10 lands. So Iviana get Eltanon is their... If they can get Eltanon, cast the Adventure on Eltanon with Iviana, and also remove Offset Daemon, that is their way to not die here. Unfortunately for them, I will counter Path of Prudence, or sorry, not Path of Prudence. It's fine. This is only Path of Stillness. This is only like one of the best board wipes of the format for 2 months. I will counter a Path of Stillness with Asulio there. They've been an offset Daemon. Wow. They have decided that is not their biggest priority here. They're going to surface Seafloor Treasures. I do think they are now officially out of options to try and end this. Putting one on top. Oh, they're deciding. They're still deciding. Sorting through their options. Man, this was a crazy series of games. I will say, Jeskai Dragon Control is one of these decks where going into these mirror matches, both rounds, dread, just endless dread. And even through the games that really started to get away from me, specifically last game, game 2 of this round, even in games where it really started to slip away from me, it felt so good. Syscall is all clear by me, buddy. You do not have time for that to matter. Whew. Yeah, these mirror matches have felt exhilarating. Which is so funny because, again, I am dreading them when I go into them. But it's really fun to try and find ways to, like, thread the needle in these matchups. We will untap. We will draw. Second Magistus is great. We will attempt... this is not even target. Yeah. So we're just going to put Overflow on the stack. See if we're good. They could say K. They could say no. They say yep. We get Offset Daemon. This not targeting as well is very nice, because they can't just have, like, pinpoint graveyard hate. They'd have to, like, exile the entire graveyard. Go to combat. We're going to jam. If they flash in a blocker, we can counter it. And then, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... I'd like to spend 6, 7, 8, 9. I'd like to spend 9 mana on Terminal Impact here. So that way, if they have, like, any spontaneous way to gain 3 life, I'm just covering my bases. Woo! That is a crazy series. And we are now 2-0 in Grand Prix Neo Stehlia. My goodness. They were sitting on Thistral Charm, Iviana, second Syscall, Overrule Will. Yeah. That's great. Wow. That really did work out for us pretty spectacularly there. Games 1 and 3, we took monumental risks with the opening hands, but I kind of just figured this is a matchup about card advantage. If I can not mulligan, if I think that this hand can navigate the early game enough to start making consistent land drops, we're in. And sure enough, we started making that happen. We'll see if an aggro deck pushes me to start mulliganing properly, but yeah, that is crazy that we managed to go 2-0, beat both of the mirror matches. I am actually stunned that we managed to navigate this, but yeah. So that is going to wrap up our video here. A very long one. My God. A very, very long series here. Thank you so much for tuning in if you've stuck through the whole thing. I will see you all in round 3. In the meantime, as always, if you want to check out the format for yourself, I promise it's not all Jeskai Dragon Control mirrors. You can check out the format links in the description below for all the usual resources, and I will see you all in the Revolution chat. Bye-bye.